I think you should read it. My favorite, one of my favorite yaois of all time that I'm putting on my last, so as like
best for last,
is Sign Language. I remember crying to it. It's so beautifully written. It's like not toxic in the situation that they go through. Yes, it's, but like it's not toxic. They're a very happy, loving couple who love each other, accept each other. It's basically about a story about like two people who are struggling to find themselves, who are struggling to basically like,
oh, I'm already crying,
who are like struggling to like accept themselves. Hi guys, welcome back to
Shoujo Talk.
It's your favorite co-host, Bozoma aka Bella.
And Kayla.
Woo woo woo. Second part of our Yaoi series.
Are you guys excited? I'm excited. Yeah. I've been excited.
I have my list of my current reads and like the ones I'm rereading right now, and then my favorite ones I reread recently that I like would suggest to you guys. These are just my opinions though. Also, if we seem a little low energy, we're filming late.
We were out all day. And also kind of need to be quiet for the other people that are in this building. Yeah. They're actual tenants and we're just the Airbnb stayers.
Yeah, like the Airbnb, how it's like structured is like there's like a tenant, like it's like the owner on top and there's like tenant on the bottom. Mm-hmm. There's another tenant and then there's us. So like quiet hours, quiet times right now.
It is quiet time.
So, but we will be filming our Yaoi episode for you guys. Also, off topic, if you guys like our little headbands, we got them in Chinatown.
Yeah, we went to Chinatown in San Francisco today. It was so cute. So much fun. It was
beautiful. The lands, just everything was just so beautiful.
So much bigger than Chicago's too.
Because if anyone knows Chicago's Chinatown, like it's really nice. It's really good for food, but it's not that big. But
there are so many fun places to shop, and we
shopped.
We're getting off topic.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, so
talk about it next episode.
Yes, for sure. So on our Yaoi list, I'm just gonna read off the titles, and then I'll kind of do like a little overview for Kayla. Like yeah. So fave reads at the moment. These are my top 8. Love is an Illusion and the spin-off for it. Mm-hmm. Roses and Champagne, which is Low Tide and Twilight, which everyone loves. 1 to 10, which I haven't heard really many people talking about. Mm-hmm. This was Kiraide Isasete. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. Honey Trouble, Kiss Me If You Can, and Rivalry. Okay, so the reason why all of these are my current faves right now, like I think out of all the yaois I've read recently, or like kind of skimmed, these are the ones that really stuck out to me because of their storylines. A lot of yaois do kind of like, they're not generic, but they do kind of follow the same story structure, which kind of gets boring and mundane after a while, you know?
I'm sure like the trope or like the character types between like the top and bottom are basically always the same.
Sometimes it's the same, though sometimes they'll like sometimes switch it up, but usually it's like almost like recycled. Okay. So my favorite one of all time at the moment is Low Tide and Twilight. I talked about that last. Okay. It's like an honorable mention. Okay. Low Tide and Twilight is like an Omegaverse. It's about like
like the hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I remember. The alpha is like, well, his parents are very, rich, but he also works as a debt collector. But he's like handsome, he's tall, he's very buff, like what an alpha is. And then the Omega, which is the bottom, he lived with his father, but his father took out a huge amount of a huge loan amount under his name, put it under him, left him with his little brother, disappeared, left everything to him, and the debt collector came back. But the first time they meet is when the bottom is walking into the ocean with his little brother trying to himself. But then
the brother,
yeah, and their little brother's like little, like he's in kindergarten, like he's a baby, but he grabs him, and then like their first interaction, and then the second most pinnacle point of like the story is when he gives him the apartment and like gives him a place to stay, a place to work off the debt, which will take forever, mind you, because it's a lot of money. It's like $1 million almost. I think like one. Okay,
so like the conversion is
But the thing is like the place that he works at doesn't pay that well. And like the debt collector added more debt, being like, oh, this house
interest.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's a debt collector. Like, you don't want to be out of debt. But then he like, has a thing for him because he thinks he's cute and everything, and he finds out he's an Omega, and then everything falls and snowballs, and they become partners, and then exclusive partners, and then
is that what helps wipe the debt?
Well, technically, every time they sleep together, he's supposed to like take off a certain amount, but then the alpha develops feelings for him, and then becomes like crazy, right? Super jealous, super possessive, but he tries to put the bottom into more debt, or like into more dependence to him, so he
make him stay forever.
Yeah, because he wants him. But then, okay, because I love redemption arcs, I love chasing arcs. So the first half is that. The first half is really, really like dark, kind of twisted, chasing. Yeah. Well, not even chasing, just like fundamentally just like keeping him stuck and like just stuck and helpless,
but not like in a blackmailing way.
Kind of like a little bit of both. Like he's like blackmailing him, but also at the same time, like he's like, but if you want to leave and do something else, you can, but you can go into but he's already going in, but it's, I guess it's like, it's more exclusive. Like exclusive. Yeah. But then the second half of it gets, I don't want to, because that's when like,
okay,
what is it called? It's late. Oh my god. Anyways, but the second part is where like the juicy stuff happens, and everything kind of comes out, like the revelations and stuff like that, like the plot twist. And like the second half is him the alpha's chasing the bottom, and it's like crazy. It's great. And anyone who's read it most likely knows that it ended beautifully. Really cute. And do you want me to spoil the ending for you?
No.
Yeah, I don't think you should.
Let's leave it to you guys to read it and find out.
And Love is an Illusion is also another Alpha and Omega story, and it's pretty popular, but it kind of became popular because of how everyone hated the Omega. But like, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, because if I spoil it, you're not gonna understand like just the nuance of like each character. Yeah, basically. But like the Omega just lived a very difficult, hard life. But I can tell you about like in the first chapter, we see that he's an Omega, but he's lying and trying to pretend to be an Alpha. Alpha finds out, they find out they're they are attracted to each other and everything, and everything snowballs, and we have this really long story. But I genuinely think the character development for both of them is really good, and we get to see like the trauma the Omega specifically faces, to see why he acted like the way he did, and why he wants a provider, and why he wants someone who can like take care of him, But Love is an Illusion, the reason why it's called that is because, are they really in love, or is it because of their instincts, Yeah, but like, I mean, and it's pretty pop. Like when I first started reading it, I didn't like it at first, because I was like, what is wrong with him? I was like, what the heck? But like, just like the writing, and like it's like how the characters played out, and how they fell in love, and how they slowly started to accept each other. Like, I fell in love with it. And not going to spoil anything crazy, but they have a spin-off with their kid, and it's basically the same thing. But I mean, the kid's an Alpha, and his childhood friend, who we see like throughout the original like spin-off stories, they kind of like are friends, but that's a shonenai, which boys love. Do you know? Yeah. So there's no thing, it's just more of like them falling in love and everything. So it's like more of like the tame version. Yeah. And it's just them falling in love. It's currently ongoing. Love is an Illusion, Low Tide, and Twilight are both finished. Great, super great. I'm just rereading them right now, so that's why they're in my fave reads at the moment. Roses and Champagne is a little, I would say it's mafia based. It's about the Russian mafia and the Russian mob, and the bottom is like the bottom is a sexy half Korean, half Russian lawyer, and then the top is just this sexy blonde, what's it called, Russian like gangster leader, mafia leader. He's so fine. Dang. Is that your type? Yeah, but he's crazy. He's crazy. Oh, like, okay, like that trope of like yandere almost, where it's like the best way to describe
if I can't have you, no one can.
Yeah, if I can't have you, I'm gonna shoot you in the leg. Yeah, and anyone who reads it knows what I'm talking about. It's crazy. I also genuinely enjoy Rose and Champagne, because like sometimes when I read Yaoi, they make them so like proportionally weird.
But this one's like kind of normal.
Yeah, but also at the same time, it's like I feel like I'm like intruding when I read it. I'm like, but it's really good though. I think you should read it. So like the synopsis is basically the lawyer, his mom dies, and she basically leaves him, like tells him like who his dad is, not dad is, but like where his dad is, and like he went to Russia to go find his dad, gets involved with some Russian mob. Later, Russian mob later becomes obsessed. It's like, if I can't have you, no one can. And then it goes crazy from there. But the lawyer is also trying to teach the Russian leader how to love. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of, not drugs, but there's a lot of violence. There's like hating. There's love. A lot. So if you can stomach like
a little toxicity,
yeah. If you stomach like not toxicity,
a little, probably a lot,
like a lot of toxicity, a lot of like heavy topics, then hey. But the art style is beautiful. That's another reason why I loved it, because it's just so beautifully drawn. 1 to 10. It's a current read right now. I like it enough to add it, but I wouldn't say it's like in my mind all the time. 1 to 10. The only way I can describe it is Twink wants big. That's it. That's all I can describe. No, because that's the synopsis. Twink wants boyfriend with large pee-pee.
Nice.
And he meets the large so-and-so called large package, and the twink doesn't know how to love, nor does the other guy. There's you guys know I love the miscommunication arc. Like, I love the miscommunication. Like, that's just like my whole thing. I don't want to have miscommunication in my own relationship, but when I read it, I love it. So I'm like, and I can vicariously live through like drama. But there's this miscommunication. The top is hot. It's not an Omegaverse though. He's hot. I was looking at him. I was like, dang. I was like, if I had a boyfriend, I want him to look like that. But he has the same length as my hair.
His hair is that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then the bottom, it just looks like a little twink.
A little normal.
Yeah, a little normal twink. Super cute. So if you guys want like a school life romance with like not a little bit, with some miscommunication and honestly just a little toxicity, I would check it out. I think 1 to 10 would not be your type of, I think it'd be more like
I feel like miscommunications. I think last episode I did say that I
would be open to it.
But like in the sense of like there's always a redemption and like afterwards.
It's still ongoing, so we don't even know when we're going to hit the redemption arc. So I've just been living through drama for the last 4 months.
That just is stressful.
It is stressful. It feels like I'm in the relationship with them and I'm like just text each other. I have as you guys, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I really like Omegaverses. So Kiraide Isasete, which is like another Omegaverse, but there's really no miscommunication. It's literally fated pairs, like fated lovers meet each other in the first 2 chapters, fall in love, and it's like their like happy married life. It's so cute. It's so lovely, but
it's just like love is easy.
Yeah, but there are, leading up to before meeting them, the bottom is an Omega who was by a classmate and he has a kid. And I guess in the society, like male mothers, which, and I'm not saying like male mothers, but like in the actual manga, they say like the daughter says mommy and they're classified as like mom. He's like a male mom. That makes sense.
I have a question. So, like the alphas and the omegas, are the alphas always the tops? And omegas are always the bottoms?
There's one manga. I have not read it. Okay. I can't remember the name. If you guys know what I'm talking about. But there's this one manga where an omega tops an alpha.
Right, because I think you talked about that really briefly in the last episode. Like sometimes there's a power bottom. Is that what you said?
Sometimes there's a power bottom, but sometimes power bottoms can mean like, just like a really like manly like looking guy, but he like takes it, and he enjoys it, and he like he takes the lead, but he's the one bottoming.
Okay.
Interesting,
Good to know.
Right? But if you guys have read it, if you guys haven't read it, it's a really cute read, but I mean, it's a little heavy in the first 5 chapters because that's like the first volume, and you just kind of get the story of everything. But then everything is like, but then there's like a little bit of rivalry. There's a little bit of like, you know, marriage trauma, marriage blues, but it's really cute. Everything, but they always resolve. There's always great communication with them. And honestly, I feel like it's a very like lighthearted read for me. Like, I mean, the first volume, not so much, but after that, it's very cute, very like, just I love you, you love me, you know, like let's have like 10 kids together.
Is this one finished?
So, no, it's still coming out, but there's like enough volumes to actually like read it to be happy and content because they're not fighting all the time. They're not toxic. Honey Trouble's toxic. That I don't know. So it's about an alpha and beta. Yeah.
So the beta can't get
pregnant. No, he can't get pregnant. But the alpha, the reason why it's called Honey Trouble is because the alpha wants to change the beta into an omega so he can have a kid with them.
Is that possible?
I don't know. It's still ongoing. I have no idea. But there are, I don't know if I explained this, but there are tropes where an omega will be a beta until maybe years down the line, and they'll have a second, like another like gender, which out of nowhere will come out as
like a transition,
almost like it's like where their hormones were just so low and so little that they couldn't tell that they were an omega, but they're like a super recessive omega, so they don't.
And then something kind of like
happens. They either fall in love, meet their fated pair, or maybe they have with an alpha. So then like that instinct or like that, those pheromones get unlocked. And they're like, oh my God, I'm an omega. But then usually it's like, well, I'm not presenting that much, so it's okay. And they'll meet they'll meet that alpha that like makes them go like, oh my God, doki doki. And go doki doki. And then they'll get like super hot and heavy and they'll be like, oh my God. And like, or like something like that. And like in their like, you know, like in their instincts and stuff like that. And then they'll like, you know, have like their fun time and they'll have their the omega will go into heat. The alpha will go cuckoo crazy for Cocoa Puffs. And then they'll have a kid. That's literally how it goes. Like every story like that. But this one, it's an alpha beta. The bottom is a beta. And the bottom's stupid. That's all I can say. He's just stupid. The top is a manipulative, toxic, jealous person. So like, and the art is just so pretty. Like, that's literally one of the reasons why I'm reading it.
There's a pattern here.
Oh, if you guys like know me, I was like low-key crashing out about a guy, and I have very like toxic avoidant tendencies, so I like reading about them because I don't like living through it. You know what I mean?
Good. That's good that you just read about it instead of acting.
Yeah. Kiss Me If You Can is another omega alpha. I'm sorry, it's like my favorite trope right now. It's still ongoing, it's still new. Roses and Champagne, it's the same author. So the art is really great. She came out with a new one, so like her art has improved a lot, like immensely. But I still like Roses and Champagne's art a little better. But Kiss Me If You Can is basically about, for context, there is another manga made by the artist. I'm pretty sure it's called Catch Me If You Can. Or I think it's called Catch Me If You Can. And this is the spin-off of Catch Me If You Can. Kiss Me If You Can.
Are they like related?
Kind of. So basically, in Catch Me, I'm pretty sure it's Catch Me If You Can. Catch Me If You Can is about a secretary and a CEO, Alpha and Omega.
Okay.
But the alpha is so keen on like not touching a man because he's homophobic, basically. And he's like, all right,
internalized homophobia.
Yeah. And he's like, I'll never be with a man. But like the reason why, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Okay, so it's about like a CEO boss who literally is like super hot, super successful, super sexy, super tall. Has everything.
Okay.
His name is Keith, right?
Oh.
Super hot.
Has everything but the name.
Yeah. Everything but the name. He's super hot, super successful. But he will never be with a man because there was a male, because he's just like, it's like, no, I don't want to be with a male Omega. But there was like an Omega in college that he kissed and was like, oh my God, like he was a dude, I'm pretty sure. And I don't want to kiss a dude because he like low-key, you know, but it was the Omega that kissed him. But he liked it so much that he was like, that's crazy because I'm only into women, you know? But then the secretary remembered him because he was like, oh my God. He's like, oh my God. He's like, oh my God. And then he becomes his secretary, and Keith like just goes through partners every day. Kid like just goes through partners every day, but is low-key in love with the secretary, but doesn't want to admit it because he doesn't want to be with a dude. And then basically the whole premise of that is like the secretary's in love with his boss, the alpha. The alpha is in love with the secretary, but won't admit it. So he has partners. So he
resemble
kind of, or just like goes through partners because he doesn't want to go for his secretary because the secretary is a male. But then he falls in love with him, but it was too late. They marked each other too late, and I don't think I went into marking. Do you know what marking is? Okay.
I feel like I'll understand like why it's called marking, but
so it's called marking. So it's only marking when the alpha bites the back of the Omega's like the back of their neck when they're in heat, and when that happens, that the Omega is marked by the alpha. But
I've seen this before
in most stories. I'm pretty sure all of them actually. If an Omega gets bit by an alpha while they're in heat, they become partners, and the Omega cannot have with anyone else but the alpha. But the alpha, in some stories, I think I've read a few where they can't, but in some stories, the alpha can go mark other Omegas,
like multiple at once.
Mm-hmm. But there's bonding. Usually bonding happens in most of them. So when they bond, the alpha cannot they can't sleep with any other person other than Omega, and they can't. When they release pheromones, they can only do it for the Omega.
And is this like for as long as the bite lasts, or like forever?
Yeah, usually for as long as it lasts. I've read a few stories that the bite has disappeared, and I've read a few other stories where the bite has just it's bit
miraculously stayed.
Yeah. So, but this is one. Catch me if you can. When they bite you on the ear.
And is this like a psychological?
I think so. I really think so. It's like mating. Like they're mating for life.
Physically stops them from veering away from their bond.
So if the Omega tries to sleep with another person that isn't their alpha, and if they're because the alpha has certain pheromones, and those pheromones, I guess when they bite the Omega can only get they can only feel calmed down, they can only get turned on, they can only
so they wouldn't even want to.
They can't be with anyone else. Those pheromones that the alpha has, that's all they want, and that's all they find comfort in. That's all they like.
Okay,
if that makes sense. And then usually most times the alpha will only find the Omega attractive and be so bonded to them that they cannot feel anyone else's pheromones except their Omegas. It's very interesting. It's almost animalistic, you know. But yeah, but that's
so.
Catch Me If You Can. And so the bottom, right? His bodyguard is the bottom in Kiss Me If You Can. Yeah. And Kiss Me If You Can is about a bodyguard who has a one-night stand in heat with an alpha who happens to be a celebrity, who happens to be, I'm pretty sure, in Keith's circle. Yeah. Womp, womp, womp. Crazy. And so he has a kid. Alpha doesn't know, and he gets marked by the alpha. Alpha doesn't know that he marked the Omega, and the Omega is literally his new bodyguard right now. Crazy. It's ongoing, so I'm still reading it. Yeah. And my last one is called Rivalry. It's not an Omegaverse, but it's about a guy who has autism. No, so it's this really tall, hot dude, right? Super tall, super handsome, super successful, very rich, because his parents are very rich, right? And it's about this other guy who is gay, and he likes twink-looking bottoms. But he falls in love with clearly a guy who is a top, well, not bottom, and they become friends for a little bit. And then they have this horrible, I hate you. I can't believe you only did this and X, Y. Basically it was I can't believe you said we were exclusive, but then you slept with somebody else, like that, you know, because they're in college.
Yeah.
And then during that first half, we're okay, but during the first half, we're why is he acting why is the top acting like this? Why is he being a little weird? Why is he actually emoting? Why is he so blank face, right?
Like a blank affect.
Yeah. But then like during sometimes when like the bottom would get mad or stuff like that, like the top would be like, he would like almost mirror, if that makes sense. Like he would try to mirror whatever emotion that was deemed appropriate for that situation. So like when I was reading it, I was like, what's going on? I just thought the top was a psychopath at first. I was like, what's going on? Because I
just can't feel emotion.
No, but I've never read a yaoi about like someone who has like, who is on like, who he pretty much, well, okay. The author doesn't specifically say he has autism, but she does insinuate that he has autism because she gives a description of what he has. And like, he's had it since he was a child. He was diagnosed with it. He really can't understand emotions and doesn't understand how to present emotions, but he was trained in social settings to be able to emote certain emotions. Like if people are happy and laughing and joyous, he has to follow that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then she was saying how like she searched up a lot of like, you know, what is it called? A lot of conditions young boys will go, like a lot of like conditions that are not really talked about in Korea or normalized. Yeah. So it was pretty much insinuated that he had autism, but she didn't specifically say, but she said that whatever you guys are thinking most likely is true.
Gotcha.
But the second half is when we have a revelation of him being like, he literally says, I have a condition where I can't feel emotion, where I don't understand emotions.
Like social cues.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't understand social cues. Mm-hmm. And so it's basically two college students who are completely different, who have different types, fall in love. And then the bottom basically has to be like, what the heck? He's like, what the heck? But then they like fall in love. It's super cute. I really like it. And I really like the top because he's really handsome. And and you don't really see them often. He's darker skinned. He's a tan top. You don't really see that often.
I like this. This is like good, like a representation.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, like the way that they fight, it was so like realistic and so human. Where like when I was reading, I was like, wow, like I could see someone fighting like this, or I could see myself fighting like this, you know? And don't get me wrong, like they would fight, they wouldn't talk, like they would fight, you know, when you like fight with your partner, like you fight with them and you don't want to talk to them.
I almost just took a sip from the mic.
Real. That's how exhausted we are. I don't know if you can see the circles. But like, yes, they fight and stuff like that, and they do have like arguments and petty, like dumb petty fights, but communication's really good. And because, I mean, if you don't communicate, like, you know, how are you going to get through this relationship with somebody who doesn't understand unless you communicate with them? Mm-hmm. So it's really cute. I suggest it. I think you should read a few of these. I think you should also, because you should also read Omegaverse. I think they're pretty cool.
Bella's getting me into Omegaverses.
Mm-hmm. Favorite of all time. I talked about this last time. Genji Romantica is always a solid staple. It's literally classified as a shoujo in the yaoi community, and I think you would like it the best. How to Snag an Alpha is so funny. It's basically about an Omega who wants to basically like be with a high class alpha, and that's how he does it. He snags an alpha, but he's like, the alpha is such a lover boy. Like a lover boy loves, like, does not play about his boy, like does not play about his lover. That's super cute. But they're both very successful, very rich. They're from affluent families, and that's like their life. It's just basically them trying to get together, like how the little Omega snags the alpha and how he like makes him fall in love with him. You know. The guild member next door. I haven't read this in so long. It just popped in my mind. But it's basically about like two guys who play video games, and one goes with a video game meet, and he's like expecting to see like, you know, not a really tall, handsome, literally K-pop idol looking dude.
And has been playing this video game with him,
and they're like video game married. It's so cute. I think you would like it. It's very, and it's long. From what I remember, it's pretty long, but the way they fall in love is so cute. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think you would really, really like it. Okay. It's super cute.
I'm glad this list is on my phone because I'm just going to go through it.
Bloodlink. Okay, Bloodlink is a little weird. I'm going to be so honest. Bloodlink is like just basically about like a vampire falling in love with a human.
I'm surprised. This is the first one about vampires that you mentioned.
But okay, the thing is, like, I'm very, 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 very specific on vampire yaois. I don't really like. I'm very specific on. I'm like very picky with them.
Okay.
Bloodlink. I mean, I just remember really, really liking it. Bloodlink basically is about like another very, very, very handsome top, super hot, super handsome wealthy. And the bottom,
Red Bull.
Damn. Do you think you'll be up all night though?
You're right. I should just slug it out.
No, we're almost done. It's okay. We're almost done.
I'm kidding.
The bottom is half lichen, so he's half werewolf.
Okay.
And a lichen
vampire and werewolf. Mm-hmm. Get along,
right? But lichen blood, I guess, like in this universe, lichens are one of the only species of animal, like supernatural creature. I don't know what to call them. Yeah. Regardless of gender, they can have kids. So like it's basically like an omega. Yeah, basically an omega. And basically the vampire, like he knows that he's, a lichen, but like the bottom like kind of has like a thing for the top because he thinks he's really attractive.
Interspecies like reproduction,
it happens. Possible? It's possible. It does happen. But it's basically like a story. It's basically like the bottom falling in love with the top falling in love with the bottom, and then like the outside forces trying to get in their way, because there's the head of the lichens, like there's like the alpha of lichens who wants to procreate and continue the lichen species because they're kind of dying out. Okay. And he wants the bottom, and he's trying to court the bottom, but the bottom is like but the top is trying to court the bottom. And but like during that time they're kind of going through something. It's very like the world building in them is very intricate, but it's also kind of like you're left with questions. You're kind of like, interesting. I forgot to put this in. Fangs. I forgot that. It's so good. You have to read it. Anyone who has not read Fangs, you have to read Fangs. Wow. Fangs is so good. So it's basically about like, it's just a vampire, like Yaoi. It's about like, just like a poor kid who got caught up in a wrong place, like at the wrong place, wrong time, who gets turned into a vampire, and he gets integrated into vampire society and how you live as a vampire. And it's just the top and bottom falling in love, and it's just so beautiful. It made me cry. It's so good. You have to read it. Oh yeah, I'm tearing up. It's so good. When I first started reading it, I was like, I only had one volume, and I felt so empty. It's finished too. I felt so empty. I've been
following it for a long time.
It's so good. And the art style is beautiful. Honestly, I'm taking Bloodlink off because I like Bloodlink.
I kind of want to check it out just to see.
Bloodlink.
Keep it and then add things.
But it's pretty good. I really like Bloodlink. I liked it. The top is possessive. He's like a nonchalant type of possessive. He's like, but then if like something happens, he's like, that's, he's like a nonchalant, sorry. Sugar Dog Life. Okay, that sounds crazy.
Wait, what?
It's not an Omegaverse. It's literally about like a police officer and a college student, but the college student is like really short and he looks really young, and the police officer mistakes him for like a little boy on accident, and like I think he gets into a fight. It's been a while since I read it, but I really, really liked it. He pretty much like something happens to him, and the police officer's like, "Are you a little boy?
Are you a little boy?"
No. And he's like, "Is this legal?" But they fall in love, and it's really cute. Like that's it. This is literally it's just like a very wholesome story. Sorry guys. Compared to the other stories I read, this is very wholesome, super cute. Omega Complex, just finished that. Great. It's another
shocker.
Omegaverse. But this is the one where it's like Alpha X Beta. But the top is an alpha, super hot, super like not 6, but like super hot. Like he's studying, it's like in college setting. He's studying finance and business, and he's like the prince of the finance / finance, what's it called, class. Like if they're graduating class, he's like the hottest guy, so he's like the face of finance basically. Wow. He's called the prince of the college.
They're hot when they're called the prince.
But he's also fine, very fine. Okay, but the Omega is his childhood friend. They're childhood friends, and it's an Omegaverse. I love childhood friends too. Love that trope. Sometimes it takes forever to get together, but basically it's about an alpha and who's also best friends with an Omega, but the Omega is very, very recessive. So like his pheromones are very light.
Very low,
very light. And the alpha kind of goes through something very traumatizing where he hates omegas and will never be with an omega. And the omega at the time thought he was a beta. And so he was like, oh, it's okay. Like, I'm glad I'm a beta. But then he gets a secondary gender back. And
then gets pregnant?
No, and he's an omega. And so, wait, hold on. I feel like I'm getting my story mixed up. Hold on, I just read it. Okay, no, I'm so sorry. Sorry. So it's an alpha omega who are best friends. I have to like literally do this. Okay, alpha omega who are like best friends, childhood friends, went to school together. And the alpha and omega, top and bottom, they have kind of like a fading out of friendship. Okay. Because the alpha, something happens with, like, not something happens, but internally distance themselves. But there's something really, really traumatizing happens to the alpha. The omega finds out. It's like is there to comfort him because during that time they weren't friends. So it's been a year since they haven't been friends. Okay. But then when he really, really needed his best friend, he was there. But during that time, about when they started distancing themselves, the omega found out he was an omega. But then he lied to the alpha a year later, being like, I'm a beta, because the alpha was like, I hate omegas. And then after that happened, the bottom had his first heat and basically completely did not interact, completely shut out the alpha, was like, I can't let him know that I'm an omega. And then during that time, he went to the military because this is set in Korea. And they meet back in college because they haven't talked to each other in 4 years. So they had a falling out. Basically, when they were like, I would say middle school for American standards, I think, and they had another falling out a little bit after. Like I think right when they graduated high school, like secondary school, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, 4 years later they meet. The alpha basically is like, oh my god. They meet at like a college, like their college, like their first day of college. Like everyone's like basically getting to know each other, like with the clubs and stuff. It's like almost like kind of like
is it like a reconnect? Like
basically they reconnect, but the omega still lies about being an alpha. I mean, no, the omega still lies about being a beta, and the alpha still is an alpha, and he like can't smell anything. Like he does not sense.
He has no sense of smell.
Like, he does not sense any omega pheromones because the omega is smoking cigarettes that are pheromone blocking.
That's a thing?
Yeah, because he does not want the alpha to find out he's an omega because he's
legal.
Yeah, they're legal because they're sold. Because they're sold to omegas.
Question. Yeah. Are alphas like so betas could sometimes turn into omegas, but then like is that like the only like potential like switcheroo? Like can an omega ever turn into an alpha, or an alpha ever go like down?
No, I have not seen any of that. It's usually just beta to omega.
But like a beta, like if a beta gets like they unlock it.
Yeah,
like,
basically unlock.
Okay.
Yeah, basically that's what I've seen. I haven't
understand.
Right. So basically that happens. He's like smoking, like he's basically blocking any type of pheromones that can come out so the alpha cannot find out he's an omega, because the omega is terrified. He's been terrified since high school, like for a while now, that the alpha will hate him and will no longer want to be friends with him or ever want to be in his life because
of that like vendetta against omegas. That's crazy.
But the omega has been in love with his best friend, the alpha, this whole time. And it's like a story about miscommunication.
Oh, for sure.
Right. There is a rival who immediately clocks that the omega is not a beta. And the beta is an omega. The bottom is an omega. Completely clocks it. And the alpha goes completely crazy because he's like, why the heck is this man around you? Why the heck? Why? What's going on?
Blah, 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 blah.
But that's only the first half. Like, it's not that long, though. Like, the miscommunication is really not that long. It's like, what, 20, 30 chapters? Okay. And then the rest of it is like their evolution.
The redemption.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. Okay. I think you should read it. One of my favorite yaois of all time that I'm putting on my last. So as like
best for last
is sign language. I remember crying to it. It's so beautifully written. It's like not toxic. It's like not toxic. It's not, I mean, in the situation that they go through, yes, it's a little, but like it's not toxic. They're a very happy, loving couple who love each other, accept each other. And it's basically about a story about like two people who are struggling to find themselves, who are struggling to basically like,
oh, I'm already crying,
who are like struggling to like accept themselves.
Yeah.
And they meet each other, and after meeting each other, they finally are able to like look at themselves and like be content and be happy with their lives because they found each other and they love each other so much.
They are deserving of like.
Yeah. And so, okay. Oh my God. This is going to sound crazy. So the bottom has a fetish. The bottom has like a voice fetish. Like he loves like very, very nice voices, right?
Don't we all?
Yeah. And he likes deep voices. And the top, can't speak. He's deaf. He's deaf.
So he uses sign language.
Which hence why sign language. And the bottom learns sign language for the top, but that not from that immediate jump. The bottom hears the top's voice, and the top's voice is deep and beautiful. He said beautiful and sultry, and he just starts falling in love. Starts really liking him. I'm not going to spoil like how they fall in because it's actually like.
So he's deaf, but not like like totally deaf.
He can still hear. Like he can still hear.
This is giving a sign of affection.
Like he can still hear and like talk, but like he has like he's deaf though.
Yeah.
But he can still hear enough to be able to like talk. He can still talk. It's just that he feels more comfortable signing.
Okay.
And he owns a coffee shop, and he lives on top of the coffee shop, and the bottom starts working for him, and they fall in love. A few things happen in between, like, you know, rivals, like things, a bump in the roads, which I call bump in the road. But at the end, they're this strong the whole time. They love each other. I mean, yeah, there's like miscommunication because like the bottom doesn't, like, he's trying to understand like where the top is coming from, like, because
they're both on like the same page of like, I want to work this out with you. But
the top wasn't always deaf though. That's like the story. Like that's like the thing we learned. Like everything he's gone through and how he became that way, because it was through an injury, through trauma. Yeah. And so the bottom the bottom is there for the top to be able to like help him every step of the way, being like, I love you, I accept you, you're not like, there's nothing wrong with you. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. It's so good.
I'm gonna cry.
It's so good. And it came out a while back. I read it in high school. I'm like high school colleges. It was so good. It's pretty long, but it finished. And when it finished, I reread it 2 years ago. It's so good. And I always will go to my favorite chapters and reread them.
If you need a good pick me up or a good cry.
It's really good. So I highly suggest the ones I highly suggest for anyone to read is Sign Language for sure, How to Snag an Alpha, Ginger Romantica, Omega Complex,
Fangs.
Oh, I cut. Sorry. Low Tide and Twilight, which it takes a while. I'm gonna say it takes a while. I'm gonna be honest.
You gotta give it a chance.
You gotta really have to give it. It's like the type of mangas, yaois that you have to really let marinate for you to actually enjoy it. And it's completed, so you just gotta read it, but you just have to go into the thought process being like, this will work out eventually.
You gotta plug it out for a bit. But this is a pretty good starter kit.
Yeah, this is a pretty good starter kit.
It's got a whole variety. Even the Omegaverses are different.
Yeah.
In their own ways.
No, literally. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm pretty sure this is compared to the list that I can give, if I can think about everything I've read, this is a pretty not mundane but generic list, but I really like them.
Do you think that these are all mainstream?
I think majority of them are mainstream. A few of them aren't. I say majority of them are mainstream, which is fine, because mainstream means if it's mainstream, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I really like them. So if you guys read them, let me know what you guys think, or if you've read them, your thoughts and everything.
I definitely will be reading some from this list. As someone who doesn't reach for yaoi as my first choice. Yeah.
I say you should give it a go. And honestly, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know which ones you liked out of all these, or if you didn't like them, let me know. And we will be continuing to do like Yaoi, Yaoi series, but we just wanted to like kind of give off like what Yaois I really like, what I'm reading, like how I got into Yaoi, and then from there we can do like I'm so sorry, I forgot to add Jinx. I'm so sorry. I'm reading Jinx. That I'm not reading. I'm letting it finish because it's bad. Like it's good, but it's bad.
Good but bad.
No, because if we do another Yaoi episode, I can literally go in depth about we will. We should do a Yaoi in depth episode about Jinx and BJ Alex, because those two.
I could actually talk on that one.
BJ Alex? Yeah. Oh my god, dude. I totally forgot about BJ Alex. Yeah, well,
now you know what the next Yaoi episode will be.
BJ Alex and Jinx. Jesus Christ, that's all I can say. But I hope you guys enjoy the episode. I think we're gonna knock out. It's super late. We'll give you our next episode will be an update of San Francisco.
Yes. Should we announce the type of schedule we'll have for episodes?
Yes.
So, this will have been episode 7. This will be episode 7, and episode 8 we want to make about, updating on our trip and what's happened in life. But we're thinking of doing like a cycle of like 4, like every month we have our like shoujo episode. Oh, that's our timer for us to go to bed. But we'll have like the first 3 episodes will be about shoujos. We talk about otome games, and we can talk about yaoi
and like love and deep space as well.
Yeah, specifically love and deep space.
Yeah.
Because there's always something new to talk about with love and deep space. And then the 4th episode of the month will be updates on how we're doing. So
anything new, like our lives, just like a little update.
So just so you know, if you don't actually care about us, you can skip over the last episode.
100%. But I think you guys better not. I'm gonna watch you in your sleep. I sound like Santa Claus, but that's my cue to go to bed, guys. Well, I hope you guys, whatever time it is you watch, I hope you guys have a good morning, good night, good day.
You guys will probably, hopefully, see this on Friday.
More like around 3 p.m.
I know in the last episode I announced that the first episode of the Yaoi series would be released on Monday. Today is Monday, and it's
so we will do our best.
But it wasn't on me. It wasn't on me. This time.
No.
So so you should have seen the first episode on Tuesday, which is tomorrow for us. This one will hopefully be done by Friday,
which should be out. Yeah.
So if you see this on Friday, we were half on time.
Slay.
Love you guys.
Love you. Good night.